All right. What we got? Hey, Rebel. Come here, buddy. All right, go on. So I got a piece of obsidian here again. Hi, Piper. Go on. I don't want everyone over here. Go on. I got a piece of obsidian here. I believe it's silver sheen. And I haven't tried to nap a piece of percussion nap piece of silver sheen, so I'm not for sure how this is going to go, but we're about ready to find out together. Piper, go on. I don't want you guys around this obsidian. All right, so we got a chip out right here. So I guess we'll start right there. I'm not sure what the tensile strength is going to be of the silver sheen compared to other stuff, other obsidians. I don't know. Appears to be some pretty good obsidian so far. I just got to get into it. Get into it and go easy on it, not be too rough on it. Try and keep some of them. Keep some of them sharp edges down. Got another batch of indirect sticks made. And most of them are gone as of this morning. So, everyone who's purchased indirect sticks, I really do appreciate it. It helps support the channel. Keep buying rock, doing things. And the first step when you're doing these percussion slabs is to get the square edge off, right? Because as nappers, we can't do anything with that square edge. And you want to just set your tool when you're doing this. That's not a very good example. I better get, let me get to a better place here. And so right here, right down here on the bottom of this last one, you'll hit here, then you'll come back this way, here, and then back this way, and you'll get this zigzag pattern going. Kind of like that. That was not perfect, but anyways, that's what you're trying to accomplish. And you want to keep your, so if this is flat, you want to keep your piece tilted up at an angle like this, so it's throwing the forces away from the piece if possible. Of course, I just just released a video today, I guess it was, where I was napping a piece of slab of mookaite. And I ended up breaking it in 3 pieces. still got some of the pieces sitting here, like have to nap. It's a pretty thin piece. Heat treated, of course. I can see silver sheen shining through there. I don't know if you guys can in the camera or not. Let's take off some of these Sharpies. No sense in having that hanging out there. And this got something funky going on here. I hope that's not a problem, but it's breaking away. It broke away here, it broke away there. There's some sort of issue in that stone right there. Here, I went all the way around it and didn't break it. And I touched it with the, yeah, there's something wrong in this stone right here. It appears to possibly have a crack going along that edge. So we are going to lose part of this, apparently. Yeah, see that right there? Had a crack in it. Doggone it. Yeah. I'm not sure if that goes in there farther or not. Guess we're fixing to find out. It's amazing I got all the way around that thing without that breaking sooner. That's what I got out of that. I think we might be all right. We still got a fairly decent sized piece. Of course, we got a lot of face to remove and a lot of thinning to do. I should have said this started out as, I believe, a 1/2 inch thick is what it was. Yeah, maybe just a hair over. About a 1/2 inch, just a hair over. We won't over braid this. We won't under braid it either, I hope, but we'll just braid it just right. We're back to more or less a square edge over here from where that piece broke off. So we do have to get that straightened back out. Taking some short flakes in there, just building some convexity to it there. That's all I was doing there. I am still a little bit worried about this spot right here. But all you can do is just keep moving forward and try and be careful around it till you get it sorted out. Looking pretty decent on that side. I might just leave that. No, not really. Wedding rings wearing through my glove. I believe this is my last glove too. I was just at Harbor Freight yesterday. Had to get a new belt for my grinder. That one was a little deeper than I maybe would have wanted. Yeah, still worried about that. Still worried about that one. Doggone it, took out a dipping flake in there. Of course, it couldn't have been on that side where that junk is. I think we're going to get in past that, but we are going to have to draw the side in, obviously, but get a little convexity onto that side. It's all about the convexity. It's still traveling in there ways. That could still be a problem. I don't believe that I'm making that travel in there. I think that's just how it is. Trying to get under it, but seen someone else the other day napping Obsidian barefoot and no gloves. I thought, man, oh man. I'd be cut to a million pieces in no time at all. They looked like they knew what they were doing, though. There we go. Just about got her cleared off now. Got a ridge. I don't know if you guys could coming in right here. So you guys can see this platform right here. A ridge coming in right there. Gonna place the tool right on that, on the edge. A little bit of inward pressure, not a lot on Obsidian. And she gone. was actually maybe a little bit too much inward pressure, and I wasn't pressing very hard. Got one last little piece right there. One last little piece, and it's got a little ridge coming in right there. I could go down to number 1 or 2 and hit that, but we'll get it with this. She gone, just like that. Just follow that little ridge in there. So I'm thinking about going to pressure, getting this edge regularized, and then I'll know exactly where I need to take my thinning flakes at a little better. Those areas would be more refined, which probably not going to do a whole lot of more thinning, but there will be some. Keep my obsidian pieces a little thicker than flint. Try and get something in there, because that did not travel in there as far as I wanted it to, that's for sure. That is probably not going to do it either. Did not. I didn't think it was going to, but had to try it anyhow. All right, let's go to pressure. Yeah, the indirect sticks have gone pretty well. Not like I've sold a million of them or nothing, but they've gone pretty well. And so far. And I appreciate everyone who's ordered them. I really do. I'll try to avoid my channel turning into an infomercial. That's definitely not the purpose. That chunk right there is good for tumbling. Knock the sharpest points off, so my wife wears gloves when she's messing with this stuff, but just so that she don't get cut. She does a lot of tumbling with the grandbabies and stuff. We actually right now our tumbler is broken, and we need to get a new tumbler or something. Tumbler I'd really like to have is about $1,000, but you can do, I think it holds seven or 8 gallons, something like that. So you can do a 5-gallon bucket of rock in it, you know. I'm gonna switch pads. One's a bit less gap in it. Yeah, I've got to bring this edge up quite a ways to get it to center. We're well below center. And there's not a lot of flakes that have to come across off that side, so mostly on this top side. I said in another one of my videos one time, I was talking about a fellow who told me that no serious napper naps obsidian. And I was kind of dumbfounded when he said that. Where everyone's got their own opinion. He probably just didn't like obsidian, but awful lot of good nappers out there napping obsidian. And someone should have told all those prehistoric folks out living out west that, I guess, because awful lot of obsidian points out there. Made by the people we're trying to copy, so I don't know. I was just getting started then, and I wasn't too far into it, and he was a guy that'd been around a long time, and I thought, well, maybe he knows something I don't, but if you're listening, I just agree to disagree, I guess. Now that flake went in there quite a ways. I was just about ready to say I'm not getting this stuff to pressure flake as far as I'd like to, and then I go and throw a nice big long flake like that in there. Yeah, I guess we're throwing some pretty good pressure flakes. Guess you just have to also throw in some little junk in there. Don't want to be doing that. Don't want to be doing that if I can avoid it. Got to make a narrow pass here to help bring this edge up a little bit. Yeah, I most definitely need to take some of this edge off. Step down to size 2. Hold on a minute, I can get in position here. That thinned out some of that mess. That did not. Doggone it. Thinned out the base quite a bit. Got a couple spots that that was helpful. Very, very helpful. I still got this fat spot over here. That I'm not exactly sure how I'm going to get out yet. That helped a bit. That helped a lot. That helped, but it went in there and left a little funky spot. I don't know if you guys can see that or not. Actually, it popped off. That's it didn't leave a funky. It left it, but it wasn't attached, so. I need to Very helpful. All right, let's even up the edge, and that number 2 stick worked out pretty good right there. Probably could have done the same with the number 1. When you get down to the nitty gritty like this, especially on the heat treated material or obsidian or something like that, the number 1 stick really comes in handy for doing that finer detail stuff, taking off small little flakes and stuff like that. It's very helpful. That being said, I've done the whole thing with a number 4, which is pretty big. And you can take off some serious material with the number 4. Which one do I want to use here? If I can scrunch it, get it into shape here a little bit. No, we're going to have to wait on that. This stuff's a little bit more crumbly along the edge than nice rainbow or something like that. Seems like most of the sheens are that way. Real high. I got some real high grade gold chain that is that way. It's really nice material. Not that this isn't nice, but that rainbow is usually pretty nice stuff. So is the triple flow. I think I have some piece of triple flow over there that I could probably percussion snap. I don't remember for sure. I got a bucket over there. It's got some triple flow and stuff like that, and I haven't looked at it in a long time. Months and months and months. So I'm not sure. Don't remember for sure what's in there. But I do know it's triple flow. Could be the oddball piece in there. That's how this piece ended up. I got a tub over there. Protein tub holds about 250, 300 pounds of rock, and I got, it was marked Black Mex. Yeah, it was some Black Mexican obsidian, and beautiful stuff. Very nice grade, but with the sawn, and I realized that, hey, that's a silver sheen. Pretty tough to tell from the outside on that one. Pretty tough. It's got a spot right there. I just not really digging, but we'll probably get to that anyhow. Don't really matter. Provided we don't break it between here and there. See, there's still something there. That's still part of that same crack is still right there. And for once, that was one I didn't install. Let's see here. I have a hard time standing frame when I'm up that close. But we're gonna try. I need to take a flake off right there. I can probably run that in with pressure, but I am going to hit it with indirect. Let's go with size 1. Size 1. That's what that dude's for. It's for that detail stuff. That is what she's for. Very light strikes. More or less just letting this antler just fall down there. All right, I'm back. Ooh, that one could have been bad. Put a little more inward force than I should have. All right, well, we're much thinner now. Just got rid of some bad spots. We're looking pretty decent. Pretty decent. That apparently will pick off, so I picked most of it off my fingernail. I hate doing that with Obsidian because you get them little flakes underneath your fingernail, and then that sucks. Using quite a bit of inward force there to thin in from the edge. I thought I was going to pop that off, but maybe I'm not. Might be able to if I, there we go. Popped her off, come in from the end with that issue stick and blasted her right on off there. Like it never even happened. That wasn't quite a she gone moment, but she gone. I need to push a flake in there to thin that. Purdy. Alright, it's looking okay. Looking alright. So needless to say, when I put this thing in the saw and thought it was black Mexican obsidian, I didn't place it in there any certain way. I got through a couple of slices there and I realized, hey, that's got I still don't like that spot. Not sure if I can coerce that off there or not. Part of it come off, but might be able to get a flake to come in there. Maybe. Nope, didn't do it. No, that edge is too thin. I'm gonna keep losing the edge and I don't want to gouge it out, so. Dog's down there got something bait up, or she got a squirrel treat or something. that dog Piper is the squirrel huntingest dog I've ever. Ooh. Good thing I moved all them rocks that were down there this morning. Squirrel huntingest dog I ever seen in my life. If you can see some of that silver sheen coming through on that or not. I don't know. Can't tell in that little bitty viewfinder. So we'll just pick away some more at this edge and try and get her straight and sharp as much as possible here. Probably gonna make put a little dovetail on it, something like that maybe. Make it a little dovetail blade. Not sure about that quite yet. I used to hunt hounds a lot when I was a kid. On up until I left Alaska right out of high school, shortly out of high school, and prior to that, I had one heck of a set of hounds. I know every houndsman says that, but I really did, and I take no credit for it whatsoever. I was lucky enough to meet up with this old guy in the woods one night. His name was Pee Wee. His real name was Alvin Codd, but Pee Wee Codd, he went by Pee Wee. Met him, I was hunting with some other guys, and I met him in the woods one night, and that night was going to be my last night to hunt. I was done with hounds. I got hooked up with these guys, and I'll tell you the truth, all we did is look for dogs for the most part. I hunted with those guys almost every single night for 6 months, and fox and stuff like that, you know, and gray fox is what we caught out there out west, because they'll climb a tree. They won't climb straight up a tree, but if there's a limb they can get to, or it's got a little bit of an angle on it, they can get right on up it. But anyways, fox, coons, all that kind of stuff. Of course, we caught you're not supposed to catch bears in the off season, but that's going to happen. We did, unintentionally, of course. Anyhow, never caught nothing. I was about ready to quit, and old Pee Wee come along, and he says, old Jack, he says, well, Pee Wee, how many did you catch tonight? Pee Wee says, oh, I caught 3. I'm going to bed. And this is like at 9 o'clock at night, right? And I told him, I said, I don't know, it just come out of my mouth. I was frustrated, and his name's Pee Wee. Of course, he's like 6'4", and he was a pretty sizable man when he was still a sizable man then, but not someone you would walk in and start mouthing to. Anyways, I said, you're full of baloney. I wasn't that nice about it, just like the rest of these guys, just full of stories and nothing more. And I think the only reason he didn't whoop me right then is because I think he was a little taken back by what I said. And honestly, now I'm a little taken back myself. But anyways, we him-hawed around there and looking for our dogs. All his dogs were in the box, which I didn't even know that at the time because they weren't making any noise. Our dogs barked nonstop, just completely out of control. And anyways, Jack goes on down the road, look for some of our dogs, and he calls up Pee-wee and he says, "Pee-wee, fox just crossed the road right down here. Come down here and catch it so that kid can see something in the tree." And Pee-wee says, No, I'm not going to do that. And I said just exactly what I just said. You're full of it just like the rest of these guys. And I said, you talk a good game, but you can't catch nothing. Neither can I. Anyways, he says, I'll tell you what. He says, you guys keep all your dogs away from mine and in the box, and I'll go down there and I'll catch that fox. I said, deal, let's see it. And he says, and you got to go to the tree because he's older. He said, I've done been to 3 tonight and I'm wore out. And I said, good, let's go. We go down there, and he opens up his dog box, goes down there where the fox crossed, opens up the dog box, and nothing happens. Now, when we open up our dog boxes, them dogs come barreling out of there like the place is on fire, right? Going every direction, going left, going right, barking like crazy, no one honoring nobody else, and just, just a general mess. And then you spend the rest of the night looking for him. None of that happened. And one by one, he called his dogs out of that box, and they all come and stood at the end of the tailgate of that truck. And they were cleaning out, which is going to the bathroom, of course, and called out old Stud and skinny old cross between a running walker and a treeing walker, and part of the Louis Peck's bloodline, which you're probably not familiar with Louis Peck, but of course, but he was known to have some first-class dogs out west. So his dogs, he tells Stud, he says, go get them. And Stud was smelling something when he got out, you could tell. But he says, all right, get after him. And old Stud, he starts sniffing around. His tail starts going just like that. It wasn't long, the old Stud goes, boo, and then, boy, about that time, him and the rest of them just went screaming out of there. And, man, they're running up around the canyon in circles, a big old canyon down there, and they just run up around almost to the top of the ridge. And so they'd run almost up to the top of the ridge, then back down through the bottom and up this other side and around and around and around. And eventually them circles got tighter and tighter and tighter and tighter, and then boom, they started treeing. Of course, Jack was back up there by then. He's going, of course, our dogs were all out. We didn't turn any in on him, but our dogs were already out. And I said, oh, Jackie's going, listen to my dog. That's old so-and-so, and that's old so-and-so, and just blowing the top out of that tree. And I'm like, okay, whatever. I'm getting my stuff together. He gives me, get a walkie-talkie, and he says, Jack says, I want to know what dogs are down there treeing. I said, okay, well, I can do that. And go down there, and Jack says, all right, son, what dog get to the tree? And I'm looking, and there's a fox in the tree, sure enough. And Jack get on the radio and says, yeah, there's a fox in the tree. And Jack says, what dogs are there? And I said, every one of Pee-wee's and not one of ours. So all those dogs Jack was hearing down in there weren't actually his dogs. He was listening to Pee-wee's dogs and laying claim for whose dogs were doing what. How do I want to do this? I think I'm gonna change this a little bit. I'm going to sacrifice some length because I want to do something a little bit different. So, anyways, we grabbed the dogs. We didn't kill the fox. Pulled the dogs off the tree and come back and I apologized to Pee Wee and told him you're not full of it like all the rest of these guys. Of course, all the rest of these guys are all standing there when I'm saying that they're full of it. And they were all friends of mine, still are. Well, the ones that are still living. And but I was just frustrated, you know. And anyways, I told Pee Wee, I said, what do I have to do to hunt with you? And he started him on, because lots of people, come to find out, lots of people asked to hunt with Pee Wee. And not too many people ever get to do that, especially in a training sort of fashion. That would only happen with a couple people over all the years, and I didn't know that, of course. But he says, you come up here next Friday night and you meet me up there at the crossroads at I think he said 7 o'clock, and don't bring any dogs. I said, deal. I said, all I want to do is see stuff in a tree. I don't care if my dogs are there or not. And he said, okay. So come 7 o'clock the next Friday, I showed up, and he was already there. Come to find out, he had never left that week. He was retired. He just stayed up there. He just wanted me to come back on Friday, I guess. But anyways, we set them dogs out, and we started roading. And by midnight, we had caught, I believe, 3 fox, 3 gray fox. We treed a ringtail cat, which isn't much to do. They don't run anywhere, and they're an endangered species over there. So you don't fool with them, but you can't help it if your dogs catch one, you know, and tree them. But ringtail cat, a mountain lion, and what else did we catch? I can't remember if we caught a coon or no, we caught a bobcat. So I think it was 3 fox, ringtail cat, a bobcat, and a mountain lion, all before midnight. And I was absolutely blown away, to say the least. Because I went 6 months without seeing anything in a tree, hunting with these other guys. And of course, when I showed up, he goes, well, where's your dogs at? I said, you told me not to bring him. He says, in all the years I've been doing this and having people come out, he says, I've never I said, every time, he says, I'd always tell them, don't bring your dogs. And every time they bring all their dogs. He says, you're the first one to ever do what I asked. I said, well, you said not to bring them, and I want to see stuff in a tree, so I didn't bring them. And he says, okay, well, let's go. Well, the night was over, and I kind of figured he just wanted to show me up because I was such a smart mouth kid, you know. But he says, if you'd like to come back next week, come back next week. He says, bring 1 dog. And I said, okay. Or no, actually, no, he said, bring all your dogs. And so I said, okay. So I loaded them up and I brought them. And he says, you leave your dogs in the box. And he's got his dogs out on the road, and they're roading down the road because they just go right in front of the truck. It's at night. You're on Forest Service roads way in the middle of nowhere. And he says, I'm going to make this a kind of a concave base. Anyways, he says, we're going along, and his dog's roading, and all of a sudden, there's like 4 deer, mule deer, go across the road there. And his dogs, boy, they come right back to the front of the pickup. I can hear my dogs barking in the back. He says, okay, well, let's see if your dogs are deer broke. And I said, okay. I said, I know they're not, but I said, he said, well, let's just see how deer crazy they are. Man, we didn't even have to point him in the right direction or anything. I opened up that box, and all his dogs were right by the front of the pickup, and my dogs went screaming out of there like they were on a mission, boy. Like they were gonna catch them deer. And he says, well, yeah, well, now we know where we stand. So I worked with him quite a bit, and one of those dogs, her name was Susie. She was really tight-mouthed, but man, that was a bear-loving dog. You can't believe how much that dog loved bears. And first thing I ever treed on my own, and this is not a lie, it's a true story. There's actually video to back it up. I caught 4 bears at one time with just that dog. That's a true story. Weirdest thing I ever seen in my life. And what I think it was mom and more than one generation's worth of cubs, because that's the only thing that could explain it. Because there's mom and 2 older cubs and another older bear that was I believe a female. Hard to tell though when they're in a tree. But anyways, 2 larger ones, 2 larger bears, her and doggone, I just broke that completely off. Talking and not paying attention here. Yeah, 4 bears with 1 dog. I did after I turned her, because she was the only one that's halfway trustworthy. So I had her loose, and she ran down there and treed. And I'll tell you what that dog did, and I honestly believe this. She was so tight-mouthed that she would smell something like that. She'd go bellowing off in there with barely a whimper, and she'd be on top of it. I mean, literally chewing on their butt by the time they even realized she was after them. And she treed more stuff than you can believe. And she wasn't a big fan of fox or even bobcat, but bears she absolutely loved. So she was a more or less one-dimensional. She did love mountain lions too, and I did some, I used to catch mountain lions for the problem mountain lions out in California, for the trapper out there. And mountain lion hunting was illegal, but they would call me up, the state trapper would, to help with problem mountain lions. And boy, they had a lot of them. When you killed those things, you kill them, and then you couldn't touch them, couldn't lay a knife to them, couldn't let the dogs eat on them, you couldn't do anything. You just have to call the game warden. They come out, load them in a pickup, and take them and incinerate them. Never made any sense to me at all, because most certainly could have. Well, I'm actually in a little bit of trouble here, because I am done gone too deep trying to get that evened up, and as I went in there, it started getting really, really fat. The deeper I went, now it don't look that hot, so I need to wrap this thing up here. And but anyways, I had lots of fun with those hounds. That was one of the funnest times of my life for sure. Hunting those hounds, running around them woods. Thought about doing it here. Mostly just go mess around and catch coons, but there's really nothing to catching raccoons, or there wasn't. We didn't have any problem. We used to go down to this place called Betancourt's, and we'd hunt raccoons down there. And it was a big farm. And Pee Wee, he did night security down there. The guy had a couple of really big places fenced off, and he had wild hogs in there. And he didn't hunt them or anything else. He just he liked looking at them, and he fed them like crazy, because it wasn't, you know, it was probably 20, 30 acre pens, something like that. Might have been 40, but there was a lot of pigs in there, and it was just absolutely perfect territory. The river ran through there, a nice big river, so he had water coming off that river through the pen, and these big ponds and stuff he had developed in there, and it was just a pig paradise. And he kept them fed, of course, and there was a lot of pigs in those pens. But people would sneak in there and go in there and hunt them and shoot them. They'd paddle little boats across the river. How they even found out they were even there, I don't know, but you couldn't see them from the other side of the river. But anyways, word got out, and people started sneaking in, and Pee Wee he'd met them at some point or another, and he had been doing night security out there, you know, keeping an eye on the farm equipment and everything else, and just keeping people ran out of there. And so we'd go down there, we'd set poles out throw them out there for catfish and striper out there in the river. And then we'd go around, roading around looking for a raccoon to run, and we kept them pretty thinned out. So some nights you wouldn't catch too many, some nights they'd come through pretty good. But we'd catch them in them irrigation ditches, and man, the fight would be on. And I'll tell you what, you get a pack of hounds and a great big giant coon, and what a fight that is. By the time we used to rig the dogs on the hood of the truck. We had these mat things that had tie downs, and so you could rig the dogs up there, and well, you'd sit them dogs back up on that hood after a raccoon fight, and they'd have ears ripped, blood flinging everywhere. It didn't bother them a bit. They absolutely loved it, but no serious injuries with coons, but lots of ripped, torn ears and bit through the lip and all the rest of that stuff. And an ear injury really, really bleeds a lot. I don't know where I was going with all that, but yeah, I used to hunt hounds. I guess the wrap up of it is I used to hunt hounds, and I had a pretty good pack of bear dogs and all around dogs actually, but it wasn't to my credit. It was to Pee Wee's credit, because he eventually, we were at a field trial, which we did not run field trials, but they had one going on that was right there by where we hunted, and we went over there, and Arky Sherrill, he offered, and we were sitting there in front of Pee Wee's actually Arky's truck. It was a restored Willie's Jeep. It was absolutely beautiful, and he laid $10,000 on the hood and offered Pee Wee $10,000 and that Jeep for stud. And Pee Wee looked at him and looked over at me, and he says, Says, he's not for sale. That dog belongs to that kid right there. And I looked at him like, what are you talking about? And later on, he said that he was going to take that I was far enough along, and he was going to take a step back, and those were my dogs. So that's what happened, and I continued on hunting. He'd still come up. We still do bear camp and all that kind of stuff. He loved coming up for bear camp, and he'd come up to hunt fox once in a while, and he'd come up to check on me, make sure I wasn't doing nothing dumb. But sure enough, he gave me his whole pack. He gave me all of his equipment. He gave me all that stuff just to continue it on. He said he finally found someone to continue it on, which his son was trying to continue it on, Robbie, which we were very good friends, but he lived a little further away, and just his work schedule didn't work out so that he could do much of that. So still come up on the weekends, but not to the point of, I could go out after work and train for a few hours, and I did every single day, 7 days a week, year round, except for when bear season came around, because I had a guide license and I guided some bear hunts. But which that was a lot of fun too. Anyways, I think we're about done with this thing. Yep, I believe we're about done. All right, well, kind of lost track of my napping in my bear story, but there it is. Not sure what you call that. This one could trim up a little bit. A little spear point. Half that on a spear and stab you a grizzly bear. With all the time I've spent around grizzly bears, and it's been substantial, grizzlies and coastal brown bears, I would not want to be up against a coastal brown bear that's not in a good mood with that. That would probably not end well for me. I see these things, and they're on the cave bears and the short-nosed bears and all these bears that were just massive, like make our bears today, like coastal brown bears, look like black bears, I guess, more or less. And there's a big difference between a black bear, even a monster one, than a big brown bear. I've seen brown bears that literally, they look like a Volkswagen. They are just, they're rare, but I've seen some absolute monsters that are just crazy big. But anyways, and they killed those things with stone points, just like that, or similar anyways. Now, if a bear was charging you, and let's say you got in there and you got it, holy cow, we've been at this an hour and a half. We're going to wrap it up. He was charging, you could like shove that into his base of his neck and down into his body cavity as he was charging you. He wouldn't live very long. He'd probably live long enough to do some significant damage to you, but I just noticed this thing has probably got a problem right here, running all the way along right here, and it runs right into the base right there. So we're lucky that did not open up. But anyways, there's our point. Y'all have a great day, night, whatever it is, and we'll see you on the next one. Keep napping.